I had just turned 18 and finished high school when my Uncle James asked me to work for him at the theater he owned. It was the start of summer, and I was looking forward to free time spending time hanging out with my friends. But my uncle had always been there for me, so I figured a little extra money in my pocket wouldn't hurt. He told me that I would work odd hours, 11 p.m. to 4 a.m., and my job would be to clean up after rehearsals and to straighten up the spare room in the theater filled with costumes and props. I was given a day and time to meet him, and so, at 11 p.m. on the following day, I met up with him outside the theater. The huge, vast theater was as empty and quiet as a tomb as we walked in, like a cemetery with lots of seats and red velvet curtains. My uncle walked with me through the place, telling me where everything was, showing me the enormous cluttered storage room full of clothes and things. I understood in one glance why he needed me to work on it all summer. The place was a wreck. As we walked past the stage, I noticed a small ivory white podium sitting in front of the stage. It looked completely out of place. "What's this for?" I asked. My uncle looked at it, and a stillness came over him. Then he looked over at a large portrait of a beautiful woman hanging beside the stage and said, "That, that is for her." He went on to tell me that the woman's name was Elsa Barnes, that back in 1964, Elsa had joined the theater hoping to get noticed. She wanted to sing on stage, and her dream was to sing the final lead number in one of the productions. But the owner and director of the theater, Pierre Dutet, didn't give her the chance right away. He had her behind the scenes doing things for the theater, but Elsa hoped he would let her on stage, so she worked tirelessly for Pierre for over a year. Pierre was a perfectionist, the kind who didn't give praise often. But if you were a performer and he was pleased with you, his nod of approval came in the form of a single red rose with a gold ribbon tied around it. In the theater at the time, that rose from Pierre was everything, and Elsa wanted to be one of the ones who got that rose. Pierre finally gave Elsa her chance to be on stage, a year's worth of work finally having paid off. She was to sing the final song in a play. During rehearsals one night, tragedy struck. Elsa was hit on the head by a falling light and died. 3 weeks after that, things started happening at the theater. Female performers and cast members were being spooked by the feeling of something invisible pushing them off stage or shoving them. Costumes they were assigned to wear were going missing. That was over 30 years ago, and over the years, to appease Elsa somewhat, rules had been discovered and made for all incoming theater groups, that no one could perform or rehearse after 11 p.m., and a woman should not and could not perform the final number in any production, lest something bad happen to them. I looked up at the portrait of Elsa. She looked so beautiful, yet sad, holding up her left hand by her face. She always appears at midnight, so if you don't want to see her, stay in the storeroom and out of sight then, my uncle advised. He showed the area with all the cleaning supplies and let me get to work. Walking into the storeroom, I just walked around trying to figure out where to start first. There was no rhyme or reason to any of it, but I figured starting from one corner and working my way out would be good. I was deathly curious, though, of Elsa, so at 11:57 I stopped working and walked out to the seat area and hid in one of the aisles, ducking between the seats. It's not every day a person gets to see a ghost. I wanted to see Elsa, to see what all the noise was about. At exactly midnight, a ghostly figure of a woman appeared on stage. Even from far away, I could see the soft outline of a long white dress. She glided over to the edge of the stage and stopped, almost like she was looking for something. Then her head lowered in a sad way, and then she was gone. I was left with so many questions. What was she looking for? Why was she so sad? I had those questions in my head as I cleaned up the storeroom and straightened out the mass collection of mannequins. In the nights that followed, I worked right up until midnight, stopping to watch her from my hiding place to see if I could find any answers to my questions. I got none. She always appeared, floated to the edge of the stage, looked out, looked sad, and disappeared. I couldn't find any answers to my questions, so one afternoon I went to see my Aunt Margaret, who had been involved in theater herself for a long, long time. Aunt Margaret always got a sparkle in her eye when talking about her theater days, always ready to tell a funny or a wild story from then. I told her about Elsa and how she looked so sad that I didn't understand why. Aunt Margaret got a thoughtful look on her face and took off her glasses to say, "I know why." She took a sip from her teacup before telling me. She was a woman who loved the theater. She wanted to perform. She never got the chance. When you are a performer, there's no greater joy than being up on stage, in front of people, getting the applause. The applause means everything to you. Weeks and weeks of work just for those few moments of cheering and hand clapping. It's what any artist or performer lives for. She never got her chance. That's why she's sad. Hearing that, I felt a sense of sadness fill me up. I wanted to help Elsa, but didn't know how. Every night I watched Elsa, wanting to help but feeling at a loss at what to do. Until one night, while cleaning the storeroom and glancing over at a corner where all the mannequins stood, suddenly I had an idea. The next day I downloaded the sounds of applause on 2 blank CDs. I found a couple of old boom boxes in a closet, and I made sure to get to the theater extra early to clean and dress up the 15 mannequins in various outfits. Placing them around the stage front, I put the boom boxes with the CDs close to my feet after turning the lights down low so the mannequins couldn't directly be seen. This time, I didn't hide. I sat front row next to the white podium, holding a red rose with a gold ribbon, and I waited for Elsa. At 12 o'clock, she appeared, floating to the edge of the stage. She looked out over the seats. Would my idea work? I actually saw her smile before she began to sing, and oh, her voice was glorious, truly wonderful, soft and sweet. The entire theater echoed with it. I waited until she was done before I put the applause CDs on, and applause filled the air. Getting up slowly from my chair, I placed the rose on the podium and clapped, saying, "Bravo, Elsa! Bravo! Bravo!" She didn't disappear. She floated over to the podium, took the rose with a smile, and vanished. It was almost 1 a.m. when my uncle came in to check on me. He saw me carrying back one of the mannequins I brought out for Elsa. "What the heck is all this?" he asked. I pointed over at the portrait of Elsa, who was now holding a red rose with a gold ribbon in her once empty left hand, a soft Mona Lisa smile on her lips. Elsa got her chance. "I don't think she's going to be bothering performers anymore," I said. My uncle stared at the portrait dumbfounded, saying, "Well, I'll be danged," before nodding and saying, "It's been a long time coming. I hope she'll be at rest now." After that night, Elsa never bothered anyone. Just to be sure, before every performance, my uncle leaves a red rose on the podium in her honor. I got to hear Elsa sing all summer before I had to leave, and to this day, I still hum the song I heard her sing that night. And when I see a rose, I think of her, of the most beautiful rose with a beautiful voice that ever graced a stage.